Hunter's ship model pre-painting. The central body was made from like foam core boards that you'd find at like a craft store, or in this case Dollar Tree. The outer hull was made with cardboard. We sealed up the edges of the foam with watered down wood glue, which is pretty popular for that purpose actually. The hull plating up here was actually cut from the base of a takeout container. Multiple layers of fine detail cardboard here. The docking rings were made out of the caps for fruit juice containers. Use a bit of a vegetable container for the windshield. Bits of earbud wire here. This is actually cast off steel from a street sweeper brush. A snap rivet there, and a washer. I have no idea what that is. That's an actual earbud piece. These bits here and here actually come from low profile hinges. The engine itself was made from a cookie tray. These details up here actually came from a studded belt that we then converted into lights and sensors. The gun down here is quite interesting. We magnetically mounted it to a washer, made it from a little bit of a clip light, and then the inner workings of a pen to make it much easier to paint and then pose. So this is the first phase of painting. We put on the black base coat, and then we put some of the metallic over that, and after that matted it and put the gray here on the wings, and in the docking ring there. It's matted again and did the stripes. Started to do some touch-up color, like making those wires black again. After painting all of this, we weathered it using some water-based acrylic paints. Took a brush and stippled it in, then dabbed it off with a paper towel. We shot this a couple of different ways. One of them was a little wire rig was made into kind of a Z shape, and then we bracketed it between the landing gear here, so they acted as the clips for the wire basically. We put the camera on a track and just pushed it past the model at different speeds and different angles. To get the receding shots, we pulled the camera away from the model. And for the underside shots, we suspended the ship on fishing wire above our heads and then just flew it past. So here we have the next step in the process of making the Imperium Cruiser. We made some basic cardboard shells for the body itself, because in this case there was a large exposed series of decks. So eventually we just bit the bullet and cut up some foam board at appropriate lengths, tacked it all together, and then sealed the foam with some primer. Used thinner cardboard from like cereal boxes to create the texturing. We just gave it a couple layers of matte black paint to film it. We suspended it from these two tacks basically up there and did the same approach as we did with the Hunter's ship. And then in post-production, to give an idea of scale, added lights along the decks. Got that idea from watching a documentary on Empire Strikes Back actually. Without some frame of reference, you're not going to know how big this is supposed to be. One of the things I was thinking of is Goretex is the university center around are these large crystals. So one of the things that I think is going to be is we're going to try and Catherine and I are going to try and find a way to make large crystals for parts of the build, and then we're going to probably put like rings, like technological rings around them. So it's like various structures built onto the crystals. Once again, it's a university city, so there are going to be taller buildings. So it's kind of rough concepts, and those are different like building shapes or clusters. Yeah. So today we are building a city. So collecting all of our sort of junk and parts and pieces and seeing what we can do. Well, we're trying to rough out down here.
It looks good to me.
Okay.
How far in this alignment do you want these things?
Hopefully this works.
I'm kind of having to eyeball this middle one here.
This is basically roughing in the lower part of the city. So over here we'll be having the entertainment district, so that's the club sequence. At least that's where we'll begin the close-up for that. Some storage in here, some university buildings. We'll be bringing in the spaceport and then making the larger towers next.
I'm starting to build the landing dock for the spaceships. And so first I just need to cut a hole in this OBO tab lid. This is a part from an old CD player.
Just a tiny bit over each.
Is that centered?
Stick it.
Yay!
I'm gluing together actually part of the university on Goretex.
If disaster happens, I want it to be filmed.
First focus will be putting panels and or struts on these surfaces here and these surfaces here.
I'm trying not to glue myself to
That I'm taking apart this thingy to get that stuff out of it.
I really like those and those. I think they'd be really cool on a.
It'll be very hard to get off.
I
Well,
know.
couldn't you tape?
You can break it though, right?
Yeah.
I'm taking apart this old laptop to get access to these sweet little buttons right here that we can add as panels. And maybe these as well.
I am sanding the foam on this tower to get it smooth because John will be adding some paneling to it, so it needs to be even so we can glue it on there.
So I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want these crystals to come together so that Rebecca will know exactly how wide to make the inner circle. The first step was using a hot wire and some guides to cut this from pink insulation foam. That's closed cell versus expanded, which means you get nice smooth textures.
I'm working on the platforms that are gonna surround the crystals. This is harder than it sounds, so this platform will look like something like this. We are going to paint all the foam from our city models so that they don't disintegrate when they are spray painted later.
The first coat was all hand painted house paint. The next coat was gray spray primer, which was applied somewhat instantly, but with some patchy areas. Variety. Took watered down acrylic paint and just started hand painting it on and then wiping it off to get more weathering and depth. Looks pretty extreme in the close-ups, but I think it plays quite well in the light that's being filmed in. So after a layer of white primer, we put a gloss almost beet red over the top of that. We made the rings out of cardboard and coffee cup straws. Painted those black. This was intended to be in the background, so it's a smaller scale than the rest of the city. We shot them along with that one kind of wing-shaped tower later against a green screen, and then comped those together. Alright, so this is the fully assembled miniature. I'm mostly filming this direction, but we took sections from other angles for the daytime shots. We ran lights up the landing tower here, and then within these buildings. We're doing a little horse perspective with these towers here. Set the green screen up right here. We just blocked the light out from directly above. We lit it with the light from the screen with the light from up there. Blocked out most of the other ambient light, including the spill lights, and just the green screen lit. A little bit of room light on the buildings, and then we just mostly use the amp interior lighting for the establishment scene of the club.